Did it tell you it was recording?
Let's see. This meeting is being recorded. Yep.
Sweet.
Nice.
I guess this is probably the better way to do it for right now until I figure out how to go straight onto the channel. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, we'll kick things off with how you been, man. How you feeling? You excited, pumped up, worried, anxious? What you got going on?
Dude, it's a vicious cycle of feeling all of it. Like I'll feel super pumped up and then, you start to think about it too much and you get super nervous and then you watch some other people when they're competing and you get all pumped up again. So
All right.
right now I feel pumped up, but nerves always hit the day of, but that's just the way I am. But I always, even with the nerves, I still perform. So it'll be all right.
Well, you look like you're prepared. You look in shape. You looking jacked. Yeah, a little scary. I might have to not attend. A little intimidated.
Oh, it's funny. I look slimmer, but really I weigh more and I just filled out a little bit. So
Eat pizza like the week of and just really sell it. Like walk
I
in there,
know.
this monster, because obviously that's
Yeah.
what I do. Like, look at all this pizza I eat. I'm normally like 215, but I fill out because just eat all that
Is
pizza.
that what happened in Utah? You ate some
Absolutely. Yeah,
pizza?
I went in there. I was like, all right, the week before, I was 215 lean. And I was like, well, I got to make a statement. So I just, for a week, ate nothing but pizza. And
My lean
my hair
machine.
grew and I got bigger. And yeah, it was good.
That's what it was. It was your hair, man. It was your hair.
Huge game changer. Yeah, it's down a little bit right now. We're going to redo it. It was pretty tight. I was looking surprised the whole time. So we'll redo it. But
It was on
it was
point.
definitely an eye opener for folks there who were like, dude, I saw you last year. You didn't have that much hair. What happened? And I was joking. I was like, oh,
Grew it out.
HGH. And then I smashed everybody. So that didn't look
It
well. So,
grows your hair out.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So like, all right, whatever. You guys want blood test? I'm 100% natural. But yeah,
Uh,
good. It was a good turnout, man. I got to watch Edo perform and saw him lose to Eric Wolf. So Eric still has it
yeah.
right-handed, and Edo's in your 64 man. So who's your call out? Who are you wanting to make a statement against, or are you just using this to platform you?
Well, out of the list, I got the list right here in front of me, but man, there's two people that are on my side that I would end up meeting up with. A little bit of history. The only people I've lost to that are in here is Isaac Russell, which on that time I was what 2 months in and fresh off of getting the newbie pains, and I went in there sore as hell, and I still did all right, but lost. And then Jess Hurley, he's another guy I've lost to, and then who's the other guy?
Yeah, but
Edo. I lost to Edo last year at Utah.
let's circle that back.
Um,
When did you said 2 months into pulling Isaac Russell? How long you been pulling?
Yeah, so I started my first tournament was in February of 2022,
Okay.
and I trained the week before that with a group just randomly. It was, just over the road truck driver and just trying to get a hold of anybody and message them, and they hit me up. They're like, "Hey, actually we got a practice going on tomorrow." And I show up and they were cracking jokes. They're like, "Where's the videos? There's no way you're brand new. Like you got to compete." I was like, "Okay, well, where's the competition?" They're like, "This town next week. Come over." And so I made the plans. I went. I won the amateur. So this was Illinois state championship, and I did the amateur class. I won left and right. After that, man, man, my elbows hurt so bad. I didn't touch another table. And then it was also the same issue driving over the road, man. You can't find anybody to practice with. Like Devin Lorette has that arm bed app, and no one really checks it anymore. They kind of gave up on it.
Sure.
You see the new guys still getting on there, and then they realize that no one responds to them either. So
Yes.
no one. I mean, we definitely need to bring a way to get these new guys going, and we got a Facebook page now. I have a couple things set up on, if people just type in arm wrestling or groups in your area. You know, I have my phone number on there, your phone number, so making it easier for people to reach out. And we've had what half of our team come from,
Yep.
you know, stuff like
Outside
that. So
outside sources.
we're trying to change that and, you know, get it, because the growth of the sport is just, it's huge right now. But yeah, so then I took about 2 more months off before I even met you. And that was my first practice back again. So that was my third time ever touching a table. And then me and you, we started practicing every single week that summer and
Summer
kept it going since then. Yep.
So you hit in February, I hit in March. So you got a month jump on me, but total table time and practice is about the same. Progress.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's just about the same. Yep.
I've
And
been
we
fortunate
both, you
enough.
know,
Go ahead.
it's been fun, you know, like you kind of brought it up, but Edo with Eric Wolf,
Yeah.
you know, we've seen their training videos. I don't know how often they train with each other, but you know, you see them practicing with each other, training, and then they go to competition, they're chasing each other's tail. And that's how I feel with you, even though we're not in the same weight class, like we push each other, we train with each other. And, you know, I go to practice and you're kicking my butt. So I'm like, you know, next practice, I'm like, I got to come back and try to step it up. So, and then if I stepped it up, you were feeling the same way the next time. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's great having somebody that's right there with you and strong enough to just keep pushing each other, man. Like, I think we definitely pushed it to where we know not only our limits, but how far we can push those limits past that too. Like, we think we're going max and we're like, shoot, I need to step it up and just a little bit more willpower, you know, that helps a lot too.
I agree with that. That's a solid sentiment. That and the disparage there is I got about 150 pounds on you, and you're competing with me. So let that be a warning to those folks who are paying attention to this video.
That's right.
Boy,
Yeah.
I took second place. Not no slouch of competition over in Utah over the weekend, and my guy here's stronger than any dude I felt there. Pretty close to Cody. So keep that in mind. Like you guys better come with your A game when it comes to power, just instant power.
Yeah, I
Outside of that, I
appreciate
can't
it.
give you any pointers on how to beat him because that man's he's gonna hit you in 18 different ways at the same time. I'm
Yep.
looking forward to it. You're gonna hear the big old cheerleader in the background making bear cheer
Yeah.
pom poms because this is my pick, ladies and gentlemen, for the Air 64 man that's coming up March 2nd in Loveland, Colorado. If you guys can get there, awesome. It'll be live stream. We'll make sure that the link is there for that. But this man's competing against some pretty tough competition, but I think that he has all the tools necessary to get a victory. And jumping back to what he was saying about our training regiment and going against each other, I think it's forced our progression faster than most in the
Yeah.
sport because you have somebody strong, driven, focused on like the little intricacies of the sports, the little nuances, the things that you normally wouldn't get a solid answer to because you have to understand the position that we force ourselves to get to. So then the guys who are giving us the breakdown, Corey Millers and Isaac Russ or Isaac Luna, those guys were like, all right, now since I can see you understand that motion, I can tell you how to climb out of it or how to make those moves better. So we've progressed pretty quick. We're very fortunate in that regard. But my man here he's one step above me. So is
I
there a
don't know
call?
about that.
Is there a personal call? Hey, don't be bashful. This is me making sure they got you on March 2nd.
um, you know, after watching that Utah State, I really want a shot at Julian. I think
Okay.
that'd be awesome. You know, and our styles are different, which I'll respect that. You know, most of the time I've been losing to people with his style, but
Yeah.
I've been working on that, and I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be good to see that. A lot of people are seeing him as one of the top guys, especially over there in Utah. I don't know exactly where he comes from, but I know that he's always competing like John Brazing Cup in Utah State. So,
He's
but
fairly young too, a couple years in.
yeah,
So I
yep,
think an up and comer match that'd be good. He's got a match coming up at Winter Blast.
yep,
So after, which Winter Blast is after the 64 man. So
okay,
we think of maybe doing call out matches this summer or something like that. And
absolutely, yeah,
that'd be pretty sweet. I think that
yep,
would be definitely a good match. I didn't get to hold his hand, but I did mess with Jordan Sill and saw those two get after it. So I kind of have a feel for
Yeah.
directional power, but not direct
Yeah.
power. So I think
Jordan's pretty impressive. He has a lot more years in the sport. I feel like me coming into it, strength for strength, maybe it's close, but that his skill level is just might have me beat just a little bit for sure.
the intuition
It
IQ is a little different. Yeah.
and the thing that I have struggled with people is where he's great at too. And his fingers are so long too. Like he can just get all the way around the backside of my hand, and it's quite impressive. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It makes for a
I
tough fight for sure.
it does. It does. And last time I pulled him was it was still what was I, 7 months in, and I pulled him and it wasn't even close. But I've progressed a lot since then and everything else. But no, I feel like, see where I go with Julian. And there's just so many people in my weight class too that I mean the ceiling's the limit really, man. Like, pull him. I could see where I'm at with Eric. I think Eric's still just a step above me for sure. Just seeing what he's
Now,
doing with everybody else. But
is Eric in the 64 man also?
no, he is not.
No, okay, I didn't think so. I figured his echelon was a little
I
outside
think it's a little too high.
group and
Yeah.
pedigree. Yeah, so
Yeah.
nothing against all you dogs who are going to be fighting at that bone. I hear it's a $5,000 check, which is what is it? 5,000 that goes toward any of your hotel stay if you decide to progress forward. Three
Yep.
thousand
Go
if it's a
forward.
cash payout.
Yep. Yeah. If you choose a cash payout, it'll be 3 grand,
Okay,
first place. And then but if you go with the 5,000, that'll be towards, your flight, entry fees, stuff like that. But like they're trying to promote it towards people who want to go to like, national championships, world championships, stuff like that, and try to keep progressing
sure.
along those lines. But if someone's not interested in all that, then you can still take the 3,000 and run.
What do you
But
think you're going to
it, um, honestly, this is the year I'm feeling better where, my arm isn't having all the pains that I had last year. I can pull hard, take 3 days off and I'm good to go again. Where last year it was almost 2 weeks, before I felt like I could even pull again. So if I do good, I think I'm gonna take that opportunity and probably try to go to a worlds or something. I still have a long ways to go, to be honest with you, but it's worth the shot,
do?
worth trying it out. But and that's also the rough spot, man, is I think that you take the 5,000, I'll have to clarify this, but I don't know if I have to stay in that weight class with that sponsorship, right?
That's a good
Like
question
I don't,
because
because
I
I
feel like
I
this is
normally
your normal
don't
weight.
arm
Yeah,
wrestle in this weight class
yeah,
either. This is, 25 pounds above me right now. So
yeah. Which it seems to be the case for a lot of the guys, and I think
a
that
lot of
they kind of need
guys.
to unify the tournaments that are doing the IFA at the 231 for the heavyweight category, and I think that's
Yep,
what kind of happened there was the nationals tournament that qualified you at the 242 weight was because there wasn't a 242 weight.
exactly.
When the AERs, updated the system, they had to put you somewhere. So,
Yep.
okay, I mean that's a valid point. We can get clarification from Corey on that one. If you do win this, do you see this benefiting you in the immediate or in the future? Like, do you think that it's going to automatically put a crosshair on the top of your head, like you're now the guy of the 64 man? Because this is by invite, it's invite based on the AERS ELO system. So
Yep.
you're going to be the guy that everybody's gunning for
I'm
immediately.
sure that a lot of guys will see it as a target, but I'm saying it right now. Some people see it two different ways. Some people are looking at this as, you know, here's where I'm at on the ELO system, and I out qualified to even compete in that section. So whoever wins that, they're not even worried about it. But there's other guys who also see the big names that are in this competition, man. I mean, you got Fabian Collin, a lot of people know him.
Yep.
You got Christopher Kaufman, he's been out of it for a long time, but he's coming back and he still has his skills.
Both are
Like
strong guys. I pulled them a couple weeks ago. Both are very strong.
very strong guys. You got Troy Brown, um, Jody Wilms. I mean, you got. I mean, that's just a few names to name a few, right? Like, and if I end up winning, I mean, that's still making a statement in itself. And I feel like there's definitely going to be people that are at least it'll get my name out there. And then I have a little bit of credibility to be like, hey, I want to call you out or try you out. Like, let's do a super match. And at least I can be like, hey, I did this. And I think it's enough credibility to at least
Warrant that.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on, man. I'm looking forward to it. Any fears, any woes in the background? What are you? You know, you said you had the jitters a little bit. One day you wake up, you kind of sort through them or whatever. Like, what's the pressing thing in the background? Is it a performance thing? Is it a strength thing? Is it a fire and pulling the trigger thing? Like,
Oh,
what's got you?
nah, daily and me and you were talking off camera about it, but like there's I just got done training and for the first time ever, and people should be pretty damn scared, but I just trained for about 8 weeks, which I have never done before. And I felt great during the training. And then I took about 3 days off and I went to go just touch the weights again. And I was like, oh, those feel so heavy right now. But I think my CNS was just so taxed and just trying to take a breather. So, I still got, I mean, we're about 12 days out, I think.
Yeah.
So I still got time. I'm just going to definitely let my body rest. And then I'm just going to keep doing some lightweight. But be sure, man, when day comes, that adrenaline's just going to pass by any doubt that I have. But no, I always have. And it's weird. Like I can go into practice with people and I'm very confident. I can pull a lot of people that can beat me in a tournament and then I can stonewall them. And then in the tournament, I don't know what it is, but instead of hitting the way I know I should, I'm sitting there like, go.
Defensive arm wrestling.
Only like a complete amateur's first day. So, but I've been fixing that. So,
Good.
I'm excited to see the difference on the table and feel it. So,
All right. So you're telling me that there's no chance of fanboying anybody there. That's what you're saying.
there's not one person I'm
Both of these
fanboy.
people are all right. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that how that
Those
goes.
days are over for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I had my Larry Wheels moment. You had your Jordan Sill moment. Like I feel like
Uh-huh.
that was a pretty big eye opener. But no,
Yep.
that's
I've been very lucky, man. I traveled with work
yeah.
and I joined Paul Lynn's practice about 6 or 7 times.
How was that?
I've
Without
done
getting into particular details, how'd you feel?
amazing. Dude, it literally surprised me. Um, I mean, that's all I can say, man. Is it
Like
the
he felt
gap you
amazing. Like
think
your
in your
athlete.
head is so far, like you're watching these elite guys, or like when you go to a competition, I'm sure first time you pulled, say, like Cody or Larry, and when they smack you, you're like, holy shit, like I'm levels behind that.
Right.
And then if you sit there and you realize that you just made the mistake on a ready go or gave them just a little bit too much position, you can feel how close you are in that level. And he taught me a lot too. I mean, he super cool guy, shout out to him. But he spent 30 minutes just one on one, just me and him, and everybody there, even on his team, is still fanboying him and they're trying to get his attention. And he just worked with me and we went through everything, man, from setups to ready goes on going inside, outside, strap pulling, everything. And he left that table telling me, he's like, dude, I would never pull you outside the strap. And that felt good coming from in my eyes. He's one of the elites.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was a really good feeling. He gave me some compliments. He filled in some holes. And I remember coming home and showing you a few things and you could feel the difference too. Like my strap game before him was
Terrible.
horrible.
Yep.
Horrible, man. I wouldn't pull anybody in the strap. And now I feel confident to pull anybody in the strap. So
No, that's good. You also pulled with Palco, which I mean, there's a size difference there. You pulled up with Paul Lynn, and you pulled
yes.
down with Palco, and so you have to
Yes.
show speed and power versus overwhelming power. So how
Yes.
was how was that?
Palco's awesome, man. He's very cool. With Palco, I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought he was a super small dude on camera. And you meet him, he's really not, man. Like
Okay.
he's not that small and he's very strong guy. He and he's very active puller too. So a lot of people know his name.
Yeah.
He's very out there. And he had one other guy. Oh man, I feel so bad forgetting his name right now. I'm bad with names, but he's a 220 guy. And when I watched them pull each other. He was beating Palco for the most part,
Sure.
and credibility to that guy. He's beaten Rogers Roger Cunningham,
Okay.
and I was sitting there and I was able to. I wouldn't say almost do anything with him, but it was a good confidence booster to be able to pull him in.
Kind of have your
And
way.
exactly, yeah. I mean, it was great. And then with Palco, I was going in there hoping to try to learn a lot, but I
Yeah.
learned more from the other guy for sure.
Gotcha.
I did.
Yeah.
But pulling Palco, man, it was just cool to pull up with an elite guy at that weight class. Very experienced. I mean, he has what 15, 17 years, I think,
That's
but
why.
he's only been relevant recently.
Okay. Yeah.
I might be stretching out a little bit, but he has a lot of time in the sport. But up until about 4 years ago, he didn't start getting good. Is basically what he was telling me.
I got
But no, it felt good. It felt good to pull him in. I think we got a guy in our team that it's in the talks, but maybe trying to pull him in a match. And he was asking me how that would go, and I feel like he just has a couple holes to fill in, but I mean, it would be an awesome match.
you.
He
Yeah.
has him in height, but they're about the same weight.
Yeah. They just frames are completely different. I know exactly who you're talking about. And won't
Yep.
name names yet, but I think that would be a fantastic match. And
That would be a good one. Yeah.
age of the sport, he's with us, and he's a kid. He started when he was 17. He's 19,
Super young.
2 years in.
Yeah. Super young. He's still getting those adult muscles in too, so it's just
Yeah.
gonna get better.
Well, he just smoked all the adults. So, like I said, I'm not going to name names, but he smoked all the adults left-handed and took home a belt
He
uh,
did very good,
this
man.
weekend. So he's tremendous, and I'm looking forward to his growth. And it's guys like us who all feed off of each other that are young and
Yep.
hungry. I should say young and hungry. He's 19. You are how old?
I'm 28.
28. So both of you have like just a long time in the sport. And then you guys reassure me like, hey, Todd Hutchings didn't start until he was 37, 38. So you're fine
Exactly.
because I'm about to be 40. But yeah, no, I love the sport. And I think it shows in how it translates on the table. How much we love the sport by passing the information on to each other, beating the ever loving crap out of each other, and then go,
Yep.
hey, this is how I beat you. And then we build that up and then we counter it the next time. So it's a nice cycle. It's a good cycle.
I'd also consider ourselves very lucky coming into sport where we did.
Agreed.
Like because you see a lot of people, and even Todd Hutchings will say when he started, he wasn't the best. He wasn't even winning the amateurs and then working his way up. And me and you come into it at that level where everyone's like, "You're an amateur," and it's like, "Well, yeah. I mean, this is only my third or fourth month pulling," and they're just like, "What?"
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you can put our work backgrounds into it, but definitely helps with think about his time and our time. We got YouTube, we got everything. We can watch, we can see how you're supposed to
How they
pull before we even get to our first practice. We
Yep.
got an idea of what's going on. So yeah. No, it's great, man. It's awesome. The growth is great. But I'm happy to be in the sport. I still feel like I'm brand new in it. And I remember getting into it and I met a guy who was 2 years into the sport and he's like, "Yeah, I'm still an amateur." And you're like, "No, being 2 years in the sport, you gotta know everything by now." But really, I mean, dude, I bet you 15 years into the sport, you still are learning everything. Like it's
You hear that from all the old boys. They say I'm still learning something.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that side of it now too. So even when I tell somebody like they're like, "How long you been into it?" I'm like, "Oh, 5 years." They'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're still an amateur."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Absolutely." So
100%.
no, it's great. It's a
Not
long-term
disrespect.
sport. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so hopefully all the new guys out there too, they see that as well and just accept it. And it's a long-term sport for sure too. Like
Oh, yeah.
there's not very many people that's made it elite within just a few years either. So
No, you have
if
people
it
chomping at the bit, but those are also the ones who are the sons of, or
exactly.
the kid who had the talent growing up or whatever. So they're
Yeah.
being supported that way, which there's nothing wrong with it. I think that we need to have those pinnacle people like Bacho Siginovich or whatever his name is, where he's 19 years old and they're already considering one of the young greats kind of thing. So
Yeah.
uh, we need it. And
Hey, before we get into that stuff, let's because I feel like we covered almost everything on the 64.
I
Which
would say,
also
where do you think arm wrestling is right now? Like, do you think that it's at the peak of its recognition? And
I
do you
I
think
think it's at the peak it's ever been at.
okay, more
I
recognition?
do.
Yeah,
Yeah. COVID helped a lot with that, which is crazy because like I look at my experience and me getting into the sport, I wasn't even interested in it, right? Like first time I ever arm wrestled somebody, it was just so embarrassing, man. Like I was bragging about because I worked on the drilling rig and there's slips that hold the pipe in the well,
yeah.
and they're about 300 pounds. And I was telling one of the guys, man, I one arm row that out of the well. Like, no way, like you're strong. You want to arm wrestle? I'm like, yes, I do. And I grip up with them and he's like, go. And I'm like, going as hard as I can. And he's sitting there with a straight face. He's like, go ahead and go. And it was just like, oh no. And he just smacked me right over, man. I was just like, I'm never arm wrestling anybody again. That was when I was 18. And I got into wireline, so that's still the oil field. And I got a buddy that was out there super into it. Like every downtime that we have on pad, he was watching arm wrestling videos. And he would try to show me, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've seen a video of that before." And he's like, "Well, dude, there's like hundreds of videos." So I start watching it with him. He's like, "Let's arm wrestle." I was like, "Nah, I don't want to arm wrestle." And it took me about 2 months, dude. I finally gripped up with him, and I beat him. I was like, "Oh, there we go." I was like, "At least I got a beat on somebody," because he was bigger than me. He's about 260 and
Sure.
very strong kid. And so what does that kid do, man? He goes around to the whole pad, and there's about 100 people on pad, and he's trying to find the biggest guy without me even knowing, man. And he brings them over, and I go to arm wrestle this guy. I was like, great, nerves are shot up, and I pull him, and I felt like I had him here doing everything I could, and all I could think about was the videos that we were just watching. I'm like, pronate, pronate, didn't even know what pronation really was, man.
Sure.
And he bled out and he told me that was his first loss that he's ever had. I was like, what? So that like pumped me up to where I was like, well, I beat somebody who hasn't lost, so that's cool. So I went from there, and I do remember gripping up with my first guy. His name's Taylor Bruce. I think he's ranked third in Illinois,
Okay.
maybe fourth in super heavyweight. And because I go to that practice, dude, and I was pinning everybody, and I grip up with him, and it was like, oh man, that's what strength feels like. So it was an eye opener to see all the levels and to keep seeing all the levels that are going on now. So it's very, very cool. But as far as the growth of the sport, I think it's at its peak. All the new guys that are coming into it are attracting more guys as well. They're getting their friends into it. And that's why I was saying it's so hard, especially for me, because I just moved away from you. I'm 4 hours away now, and trying to find people in a new area to arm wrestle, you can see how the word still is hard to get out.
Uh,
And people are so interested, man. I made a page for over here and I got 350 people like in 2 days that are a part of this page.
yeah.
But you try to get them to show up for an arm wrestling practice. I don't know if they're scared or they don't know what goes behind a practice. Like,
Sure.
because you got to think, when you're thinking arm wrestling, you're wanting to be the strongest dude there.
100%.
But
Yeah.
when you've never done it before, you don't want to show up and have people think you're weak, or I don't know what's going through their head. Because I show up to practice, man, and I'll let anybody pin me. It doesn't matter,
Right.
And I'm trying to show that to them as well.
Yeah.
So
Have you posted any videos, just practice videos on the page?
I did post a video, and it was actually of Palco's practice, and I posted on there, and a lot of people liked it. They did, and I got like 3 people that are interested for sure. So
Well, tag the YouTube
yeah,
too on the page so that they can go to that. And
exactly.
they can see the size variance, and the the
Yep.
levels where you're getting beat by guys who are smaller and bigger and whatever. Like they can see that it's not about, all right, cool, well, this guy's going to pin everyone. It's more like, all right, let me show you what you're doing wrong here. So
Exactly.
have access to
Exactly.
at least.
Yeah. Man, I wanted to circle back around to the 64.
Sure.
Um, and if people have any questions about it, they got their own website and they've been doing podcasts too as well, and they cover basically everything. But on top of that 5,000 for the winnings, there was Bob Brown, and then Body by Robbie. Have you
Yep.
heard that?
Yep.
Yep. And then Vitacell. They all chipped in, man. So the pot's even bigger. I can't remember exactly how much for each person, but like usually it was just first place. That's who was getting some money. And
Yep.
now I think payouts are going all the way down to eighth place.
Which is
Eighth place is getting a payout.
huge.
Yep. First place is also getting free Vitacell as well,
Yeah.
which is amazing. I mean, that's a huge step. And anybody who's been in the sport or has even tried to contact them, they know how big that is. And we're seeing everybody who's gotten that treatment, like they swear up and down by it. Like it's like a whole new arm, basically, right?
Well, so do you
But
think, right, with that being said, do you think that has any kind of benefit to you at all?
for me, okay, so
Age in the sport.
7 months in, I did get an injury
Sure.
at the Bruising Cup,
Okay.
and I do still activate it to this day, and it's been over a year. So, normally I would say no because I'm still growing and I'm developing these tendons, which take a very long time. But at the same time, I keep aggravating that exact same spot, and it just so happens to go off in my strongest move as well. So I probably would consider that to see what's up, but I've made progress on it as well by just doing self therapy with it. So then again, maybe not. But worst case, dude, I mean, if it's free, I mean, you might as well put it where it's hurting and
See what
see
you
what
get
it
out
does.
of it.
Yep, exactly. So no, that'll be good. Um, let's talk about your tournament. You just did one.
I did. It was a good one. The performance was a lot better than I expected. This was the first tournament where we've talked about it, where I was going to hit. I've not hit in the 2 years that I've bowled. I've always been catching, and it's something that I think is going to be my new norm. It's gauging who I can hit against, when I can hit, all that good stuff. So the only person I lost to there was Cody Merritt, which it pisses me off. Nothing against Cody, but you combine all the losses I have to Cody, it's more than all of the losses I have against every other competitor combined. Right. So
Yep.
I think I have like a total of 40 losses between both left and right hand, and 23 of them are Cody Merritt.
Yes.
The rest is
Yep.
everybody else. So like I'm
The
chasing.
lights on fire under us
Yeah,
for sure.
it's and I got to stop on them this time. And the videos when they released the Utah GoPro like that, for me, it's weird that you can have that as like an achievement to say I got to stop on this person. Well, slowing somebody down is one thing. Like these are incremental baby steps that show you're actually progressing in a strength, like closing that strength gap, right? So an
Yep.
upper echelon elite puller like Cody Merritt, who's recognized on the world stage for power both left and right hand. Left is a little bit better than his right, but to incrementally climb and know, all right, I'm getting stronger, and have him go, I was worried you're going to bleed me out. So I hope that that's on the after pull where he says that, because if it wasn't for getting reached out to earlier and before the tournament saying, hey, no Kings move, I probably would have bled him out. So, but yeah, no, this is right here. Pow. Number 2
Oh,
pro, super heavies at Utah State. Got the other ones up there from last year, but didn't have a right hand victory up there. So now I got my right hand. And looking forward to my super bench that I have coming up with Bobby Fowler. That's March 16th at New Mexico State champion.
yeah.
So this was
How you feeling about that?
this was a good test run. I didn't pull my left. I was doing some hit drills with my left, and got a little achy that injury that I don't want to progress any further. I want to make sure it heals up right.
Yeah.
But yeah, for never hitting, and you know this is a fact, like our years of training, I've never hit. And
Yep.
if you listen to some of the audio, the videos that I put up there, it was I'd hit somebody and somebody in the background just says, "Holy shit," like, and I heard that. I don't hear anybody cheering for me at all
No.
ever. But I smacked through
Yeah.
a guy who's loaded up and he's ready to stop everything I got, and I hit through him like I don't feel the paper in front of me, and to hear somebody
Yes.
in the far background go, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Oh, that felt amazing." It's like that big man can move. You damn.
Yeah.
So
And watching him go against everybody else, nobody was flashing him that fast,
yep, yep,
and you just drove right through him as he was. I mean, you could see him just fighting the setup and everything, and he was loaded completely and still. I mean, it was very impressive, and I'm proud of you too, man, because
appreciate it.
in practice we talk about it all the time,
Yeah,
and we were even talking about it. I got my dogs in the background.
oh, you're good.
We um but yeah, I mean, it was an issue because you were the strongest guy, and trying not to be that bully at a practice where you're hurting your other
Yep,
teammates, and it's a bad habit that builds up,
yep,
and then you take it to a competition, and then you try to do the same thing, and you're just losing too much
yep,
off a go. Where I mean, and now you see the big difference, and everyone else is seeing the big difference of what it makes when you hit too.
yeah,
And I felt the difference too. Like, when we're doing our own hit drills and you started hitting, I was like, dude, you gotta hit, man, because
yeah,
that's rough.
yeah.
It's rough. It's painful. It hurts.
Good,
So
good, good. Yeah.
yeah.
No, but
No,
hopefully it translates over because I want to take those away from Bobby Fallon, and I'm not taking anything from him. I had the fortune to pull him at Colorado State last year, and we
yep.
pulled twice left hand and we pulled once right hand. And I do have the wins on all three of those. But, seeing the kid now, like he's putting up stupid numbers in the gym and he's looking massive as ever. And I told him, I said, I'm not gonna really train that much until after this tournament. And then you get my full undivided attention because you look huge. And we're going back and forth on Facebook, and no disrespect to the man at all. He's got his own following and people who are just
Yep.
rooting for him and cheering for him. And one of them, ironically, is Frank Callahan. So we'll
Oh, nice.
that one. But he's on every. Oh, I'll take bets, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I think that it's just going to go the way it goes when you have your debut match against my boy on March 2nd is going to be a repeat of what happens in New Mexico. So let's make that be the outcome and train for that to happen. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to March 2nd. I think it's huge because what happens at this 64-man competition is going to be the groundwork for the next
Yep.
64-man competition. And I think
Yep.
for the super heavies, that's when you get into the gladiator section of the sport. You're in the heavyweights; those are the big dudes, and you have a lot of presence. You get into super heavyweights, then you have a presence. You have these massive,
Oh
huge,
yeah.
smacking each other, and it's yeah. I want to see Corey's and Frank's Elo system really take off. I want to see the Air 64-man Super Series take off because it gives recognition to the sport. It gives validation to the puller. You know,
Absolutely.
it can help catapult them to the beginning stages of superstardom, where they
Yep.
legitimize, themselves and having super match call outs and things like that. So,
And I know he's very excited about it. He just on the podcast yesterday, I chimed or tuned into it, I should say. And he was talking about his ideas for the future of it too. Like he wants to do left-handed. Um, and even if it was a 2-day tournament, he would do left hand 1 day, right hand. He was throwing other ideas. He's gonna have, the female class, or even do super heavyweights 1 day and then a class the next day. Which in my eyes, for that idea, what what are the weight classes you see in a super heavyweight? You see guys that are in the lights coming up
yeah,
and trying, anybody who is elite in the lower class is wanting to compete in
sure.
the weight class above just to get a challenge for themselves.
I don't think that should be allowed.
Yeah. So I think doing two different weight classes, 2 different days
Sure.
is maybe a little rough, but definitely doing a left and a right. That'd
Right.
be cool. Um, but or even, hold females one day and males the other or something. Who knows?
Well, the
Or
only thing
super matches. Let's do super matches one day and
that would be cool. Like have your whole 64 man one day, and then if this becomes a running event, you take your last year's champion and
yep,
that super match for in each weight class, whoever that is.
exactly.
Yeah, have your viable title challenger come up, that kind of thing. But when it comes to like stepping up, because even in your situation, you're pulling at a heavier category
Hmm.
than you normally walk around at, but you did
Yep.
qualify for that weight, so you're there.
Yep.
Do you think that it does that you put yourself in an advantageous position or a disadvantage by pulling into a weight class that you're not normally walking around? Like these guys are 270, 280 that cut down,
100%.
and
Yep.
then you're going to be pulling these guys at their natural weight because they'll rehydrate the next day and they're going to be
Yep.
back up to that number, and you're automatically coming in 20 pounds lighter than the cutoff weight.
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
do you think it does a service for you, or is it a disadvantage?
It's a disadvantage, but where it does a service for me, and this is kind of wide knowledge that people talk about, especially in a super heavyweight. A lot of those guys are just brute strength, right? And me being a lighter guy, I have to learn how to be more technical or something like that. So it's a great win for me if I'm able to beat that guy who's sitting at the 260, coming in 20 pounds lighter than that weight class even starts at.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but no, I think it is a disadvantage, but for me personally, I don't look at weight as a factor. It is a factor, okay?
yeah,
But if one guy beats me, I will never once be like, man, that guy beat me because he was 100 pounds heavier.
right.
Not once. Even if a guy's lighter than me, I'm not looking at him like, oh, I just beat him because he's lighter. I don't have that expectation. Like, if I'm going to beat someone, I want to beat them straight up.
Yeah,
I mean, if this tournament was an open weight class, I'm fine with that too. Because,
right. That was more leading leading to the question that I wanted to ask overall. As a smaller guy, you automatically have a built-in safeguard, like, oh well, I lost because that dude weighs 100 pounds more than 100 pounds more, so that doesn't hurt your credibility. But for the
right.
bigger dude, it hurts his credibility to get flashed by somebody who's 100 pounds lighter than him because everybody associates size and strength together. So
Yes.
that's the turnoff for me for having a super heavyweight 64 man, and the guy who enters it is Craig Toulier, right?
Exactly.
Who
Yeah.
just goes in
Yeah.
there and just blazes through everybody. Or, better yet, we'll say Paul Passmore, since he's going to be there on March 2nd. Paul's 242 now. That dude was a super heavy, and he just smashed Craig Toulier. So,
Yes, he did. In
like,
fact, it looked like he hurt Craig Toulier.
it did. Hopefully, he's not. Best well wishes to him and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, Paul
Very,
looks like a
very
whole different
powerful.
animal, and he
Yes.
looks small, but he was once super heavy. So it's things like
Yep.
that where I'm like, look, keep the class itself. If you're cut off at that as 243 plus, you just be that. Don't allow the pull up. You know,
Yep.
in this case, you
Exactly.
had to because making sure the bracket was full all the way around and it worked for everybody's schedule and the little adjustments that were made. But I think that this should be on a much faster reoccurring schedule to
Oh
maintain,
yeah. Yeah.
legitimacy of the pullers. I mean, obviously, it can't be $5,000 per each time, but like to me, this idea of having these kinds of tournaments looks way better. It's more aesthetically pleasing for the sport. You're keeping everybody organized. This one weight class is all competing here. We're gonna know who the best is.
Yep.
Like that's what you're competing for. And then you do that for every weight class, and you have your overall championships and however you want to work it going forward. So many different organizations can run, and they're doing similar things with their round robins. And then you can have
Yes.
those two challenge. Like if you run the 242s, you have your winner here, and somebody else runs a 32 man, and they have their winner there. Now you have your super match for a next whatever event, and I think that would look amazing.
I think that's also a good point you brought up too. But round robins, as far as geographical,
Sure. Yep.
the round robins are usually East Coast people
Yep.
coming into it. And then this Super 64 has a lot of West Coast. Now, granted, there is quite a handful of East Coast guys, but even then, I'm still not seeing some names that. But then again, we have our ELO range they're pulling from. But exactly, I mean, if this guy's walking out of here winning this, then yeah, challenge somebody over there too. Like that'd be awesome. Bring them together.
Yeah. I think, yep, this is the unifier. I really like the idea, the concept, and everything being implemented the way it is. I have my personal issues with, ELO systems in general, not being able to track the intricacy of the overall puller, whether they're defensive or solely offensive, or that they're intentionally making you foul, which is part of their strategy. Those things aren't necessarily tabulated or broadcasted. So I wish that would have a bit more clarity in the system when it's being, proposed to people. Outside of that, I think the sport is it's on fire. I
It
hate
is.
flat fight overshadow arm wrestling personally. Like that's a personal issue for me, but I think we'll have our day. Like we keep
Oh
it
yeah.
the way it is. It's a
No pun intended, but it's a slap in the face, huh?
yeah. No pun intended. No pun intended.
No pun intended. No, it is just, I mean, and then you see the people that are talking about arm wrestling being more dangerous than that is even, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, you get an arm break, every blue moon or a bicep tear. That stuff will go back together
Yep,
90% of the time. Brain injuries, those are pretty hard to come back from.
exactly. You CTE, you concussed, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, your brain doesn't heal itself quite like a bone or tendons and ligaments do. So,
I mean,
mm-mm.
seeing somebody get slapped out, I don't know. I think that makes you look way weaker than watching your arm get broke. Like if
Exactly.
you're going to compare the two, and that's the most
It is.
extreme of one.
No, it's bad, man. It's
So
bad.
I don't know.
Well,
We'll see.
we got another big event. I believe it's on the exact same day as March 2nd. Correct me if I'm wrong, but King of the Table, right?
No, I thought that was next Saturday.
So it's next weekend.
It's the 20th. Yeah, it's like the 24th.
Okay, so it's the week before. Right
Yeah,
on.
but there's another tournament, much like the one that we're undergoing now, and I don't want to give them any radio space because I feel
Mhm.
like it was done to undermine this event in particular.
That 34-man thing.
Yeah. So, which is
Oh, okay.
no disrespect to that other crew, but it was like, okay,
Yeah,
this is a date that was already advertised for the 64 man, and
yeah,
that's where my attention's going. I'm going to have my cameras going, streaming on YouTube for those who don't know to follow the live link on AERs system, and for my friends and family back home. Obviously, I'm trying to grow my own channel. I'm trying to grow our Devil's Backbone channel, which is who we are, folks. Follow us,
yeah.
like and subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, no, we want to grow our own brand, and we have our team is competing. We took third in the tournament in Utah, so we want to grow the sport locally here, and then we want to have a spinoff branch or the little brother on the other side of the divide, where we
Yep.
continue to grow. So the YouTube channel will be live streaming for that as well. And I'll try and do some commentary or whatever. I'll let it be based on what the comments say, like, "Hey, shut your
Yeah.
mouth, let them pull," or like, "Let
Show
me,"
the other guy.
that kind of thing. So, and I feel like I have enough skill set to determine why somebody's going inside or what the attack is going to be or whatever.
Yep.
On the side, I'm going to be the biggest distraction to everybody else there, so that my boy wins. We'll be
I
throwing
know. Yeah.
ice from the background.
Got to be the Jody on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Make sure you call them their elbows and their
Yeah.
shoulders. Square
Which,
them up.
hey, keep this in mind. It is not a violation. You can move your elbow as much as you want to when you take a grip. According to the USAA rule set, you do not have to have your elbow down at all. You can have
The
your elbow
elbow
up.
doesn't have to be planted.
Nope.
You can have it up to
You can
take a
pick it up
grip,
and move it. Yep.
but for go, it has to be down.
Exactly.
And
So
after go,
when
has
they
to
say
stay
get
down.
your grip and you're sitting there floating around, your elbow comes up and you're moving, and they're like, put your elbow. I'm chasing to
Okay.
get a grip.
Can't foul me for it then, huh?
If you want to make this, if you want to make this a ref script because I keep lifting my elbow, that's fine. But I'm gonna get my grip. Now, if the person's
Exactly.
doing this shit and they're bringing their hand way back here,
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
legal. You
Yeah.
but that person's refusing to get a grip. They can then get the foul because they're pulling
Okay.
you so far away that you can't reach across the table. So I thought that was
Yep.
pretty interesting.
That is interesting. That's a good point
Yeah.
to bring up.
And even in the strap too, if it's not a ref script, you absolutely can lift your elbow up to get your grip in the strap. So it's just
And
mindful for folks who are trying to creep around the back of the hand.
yeah,
Like it has a reason that these things are there. So getting the clarification on that was pretty cool. It was like, all right, that makes sense. So if you're
that's
chasing
very
that
interesting.
grip, keep that in mind. And for everybody else, keep that in mind. You heard it from me. And if you don't like it, well, consult the rule book.
I
I'm
was
just
going
a
to say
referee.
it's not your rules; it's the rule book, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right on.
Is there
All
anything
right.
else you
So,
want to
I
touch
mean,
on?
for next week,
Yeah.
well, let's talk about the king of the table.
So who do you think is going to take it, Audelaire or the Whisperer?
I'm not exact. So I wrote down the matches, and I'm
Yep.
not sure if it's exactly in this order, but let's go with the first one. It is a left-handed match, and we have Tobias versus Wagner.
I hate to say it, I love Wagner. I like his energy on the table and I like his story that just came out. Horrible
Yep.
alcoholic year early on and got his life turned around and by 24 was a
Yes.
world champion. I think that's amazing. Those accolades in
Yep.
themselves are you know top of the world, top class.
Amazing.
But with his injury that he got from Matt Mask, I
Yes.
don't know if he's going to be able to fire up and not hit
You've
into
seen the
it.
pictures, right? Just
Oh,
black and blue, man. And
brutal,
he's
brutal. So I don't know, man. Like I gotta give that to Tobias. He's a phenomenal top roller, young kid, super powerful, and extremely fast.
and he
I
makes
think his top
adjustments.
roll is better than Matt Mask's.
I
So
I I'm right there with it. So I think that he can also make adjustments. He won't stay in one lane, whereas Wagner, which I'm cheering for him, man, I do. He's more of my fan favorite for sure. But Wagner has his one move and he sticks to his guns, which is
yeah,
great. But Tobias will find a way around it if there is a stop. Um, but yeah, he's so full of energy, man. Energy. But also Tobias, man, I just feel like he's a little bit more explosive and off a go and
yep,
very fast.
yep, yep.
Fast. And I think I want to say he's the longer leverage in this one as well, too.
I
So
think he definitely is. He's 6'4", 6'5", and Wagner's 6 foot.
yeah.
Six.
Everyone keeps saying he has an amazing left,
Yeah,
Tobias. He had one chance to prove it. He said, maybe he wasn't there on his A game that day, but I mean, this will be Wagner's. He has some incredible wins on his left as well, so Tobias that'll be good. But yep, I have him for the pick as well. Match two is Lachlan with David Araboli, I believe.
and I think that Lachlan is that he's finally there. I do think he's finally there. Like, you know,
Oh,
thumbs
did you
down,
just
huh?
give me a thumbs down? Who
You
did
did.
that?
You did.
Oh, just going like this?
That's a yep. That's an iPhone feature. Do two thumbs up. There
Oh,
it is. Yeah.
that's cute.
Do them
I just put my
together.
hands like this and I thought it was thumbs down, huh?
Yeah. Funky
Wow.
lumpy fingers. No, but I think that Lachlan's finally there. Like watching his recent polls with Ryan Bowen.
Yeah.
He just his static strength seems there. He seems aware of all the movements and
Yes.
the kryptonite for a deep hooker is somebody who's a back pressure top roller.
Yep.
And you have
Watching his match with Krasny was,
no, it was
I
amazing.
think
He's there.
he knew where he needed to capitalize, and it was very, very close match. He
Yeah.
was right there. He was in it. So I agree there too. I think Lachlan takes the win on David, but that'll be a huge win for him, man. That'll be huge.
It'll make him definitely give him the invite for the next one. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're 2 for 2 there.
2 for 2. All right. We got ET and then Auden, man. And we were talking earlier about, the little guy versus a big guy, and ET's probably one of the most known small guys, and he has that attraction because he's 165 pounds,
Yep.
pulling 200 to 300 pound people and beating them,
Yep. Yep.
But It's a very strong guy, but then you have Auden on the other end. Now he's fresh into finding his own fire for the drive in this sport, where his dad stepped back and was like, "Look, I'll teach you everything, but you gotta want it." And he came to him probably 6 months ago and told him, "Dad, I'm ready."
Yeah.
So he's been training very hard, and his dad is saying he's beyond impressed with the improvements he's been doing. He's like, "I think he's more driven than I am."
Yeah.
But he's a little bit heavier. I don't know. I think it might be like 20 pounds on him,
Yeah.
but he's also way taller and very efficient in his movements. He arm wrestles 5 times a week,
Yeah.
trains every single day. I mean, he has his moves down. He knows all of his counters. I'm going with Auden on this one, man, and by a long shot. I think ET, yeah, it would be a match if they put him into a hook and a hook. It'll
Yeah.
be a match. Auden's going to keep him out of it until he sets down with the win, and then I think he'll play with his food.
I would have at any other time up until we've had and I'll say his name now because making the correlation would be a long shot, but having Garrett pull with us as a kid,
Mhm.
the long lever where he feels comfortable, how strong he is, that frame, same build. I would say that in that case, he probably has more functional strength, not as much
Yeah.
static strength as Auden does. But I would have said there's no way. I would have said ET all day because he's got man strength. He's going to get out and get on his bicep too quick. He's going to, no way. I do. I agree 100%. It's Auden that,
Yeah.
and I feel bad for the Whisper because, like, I like what he's doing with the sport and
Yeah.
little caricature and all of that. Like, I think it's dope. But he made a video. There was a video that came out the other day. The Whisperer did, and it's like Jody in his head and Auden or Devin Larratt sleeping in his bed and like all these
Oh,
things.
that's awesome.
And I'm like, bro, you literally just said that he lives there rent free. Like you made a
Exactly.
video about that.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
But that's okay, man. Like
Auden.
everyone's still he's gonna love him, man.
Yeah,
And hopefully they bring
he's not
ET
going to lose
back
him.
because there's lots of matches that dude can have, man. Lots.
Agreed. So that'll be a good one. All right, that's 3 for 3.
3 for 3. Now we got Mask versus Derek Smith, man.
I give it to Derek Smith. I'm going to say it right off the bat.
Okay.
And
So this is where we're finally parting
yeah,
ways.
I
I'm
think
going the
so.
other. Nice. I
now,
just
now,
think Mask is too aggressive.
I knew you would pick Matt Mask. So why? You think he's too
Okay.
aggressive?
Okay, that's one. Now, two, love Derek, man. Huge fan.
Sure.
Love him. I want to meet him. I want to pull with him. I'm cheering for him. Okay. But I'm not picking him because have you watched his podcast recently?
I haven't seen him in the last week.
He is shitting bricks, man. It
Is
is.
he
It
nervous?
is bugging him so bad. He keeps admitting that he can't get fired up for it. He's like, hopefully when I'm there, I get fired up. If Derek shows up fired up like he did for the Ukrainian, or not the Ukrainian,
The dude from
the
Iraq.
last guy.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
Iraq.
Iraq.
Yeah.
So if he shows up like that and just fired up, ready to go, I think he has a chance, man. He has a chance. He's coming in stronger than he was then. Okay. But Matt, he's an intimidating guy.
Yeah.
He is much lighter, and he's not going to stray from his lane either, man.
Sure. But that's where I think the problem lies. Matt only has one lane.
That's true, but he's been making very small adjustments. Now, those lanes look the same, but he is applying a little bit different pressures as well. He was talking about that, and I went back and I was watching some videos and I could see it, and I was like, okay, I see what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But where Derek's gonna have to be able to do it is, even though I don't think he's gonna be able to take his hand,
Yeah.
but he's just got to keep that pressure there and just keep driving back. I think he has a chance to get a win, maybe two.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just feel like Mask might be just a little bit too much right now. Still, I think he's on his comeback game. Matt's very driven.
I think it's interesting that it is a comeback deal for Matt Mask. My thing on Derek, and without saying it in a way to make him think like he's manipulating the audience that he speaks to, I definitely feel like this is a Hermes tactic. I think that this is to. He's not the bleeding heart type, right? He's not the one that goes and pours his emotion out on screen. You know, oh, I'm feeling this way and blah blah blah. I really feel like he's saying this like, I can't get fired up. I'm worried about I can't get fired up. As a dude, I'm gonna smash you.
Yeah.
Like I'm selling it one direction to go another. I'm gonna talk to you about your wrist and make that make that be the only thing you think about. And then I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna exploit your wrist. I the only thing I can see,
That's what he needs to do.
as long as Derek doesn't open up, I think that Derek absolutely murders Mask.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm
I
you
think
know
he has a
I'm rooting
chance.
for. Yeah, I know you say chance. We'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one.
What I have noticed, if we're going on, let's do arm wrestling math, right? Derek has a chance because
The
we
most
watched him
exact
pull.
science. Yes.
Yes, yes. I mean, they've had two similar guys that they went against. Bresnan, Corey Bresnan.
Yep.
Or not Corey, right? But Tim Bresnan.
Tim. Yeah.
Corey's his son.
Dad. Yeah.
Oh, it was Tim Bresnan in that match. If we do arm wrestling math, Derek beat Tim.
Yep.
Tim beat Matt.
Yep.
So Derek should beat him, right? But what I've also noticed, Derek's confidence has a lot to do with a lot of things as well.
Huh.
And I don't know, man. Like every time that he's gone into it thinking he's going to win, he usually does. And
Yeah.
every time he doubts himself a little bit,
It goes the other
it's,
way.
it's worked on him, man. I think he just needs to set his mind right and he'll have a good chance.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at Matt Mass. I mean, he does pretty good with Devin, and Devin has that long lever as well and could put a lot of pressure backwards. And we'll see, man. I think he knows how to pull him, but that'll be interesting. So hey, at least we got separate picks on that one.
Finally. Yeah.
All right, let's do the next guy. We got Coach Ray and then Robbie. So Body by Robbie, which everyone now knows that his dad is the one that's doing the Vitacell.
Yep.
Yep. And then
Oh,
he's been doing sponsorships on almost every platform now, so good for him. But he's looking pretty darn strong, man.
yeah.
He's
I think
looking strong.
that's a bioengineered human. So I'm going to go with Robbie. Like Coach Ray I love Coach Ray.
Yeah.
Ramus Lippens, like he's a cool dude. Met him a couple years ago. Really good guy. But I I just don't see it. Like
Yep. I'm with you on that one, man. I think, Robbie has benefits on his side. And I mean, who's to say? Maybe he's never even taken any Vitacell, but why
really,
wouldn't he?
really,
Why
that's
wouldn't he?
yeah,
Why wouldn't
exactly.
he? And he's a smart guy too. I mean, they're both, personal trainers or whatever. But what I've seen out of Robbie recently, he's got that fire going right now.
But his
So
numbers are almost double Ray's. Like
yeah, he's on fire,
it'd
man.
be
He's
like
on fire.
Anatoly arm wrestling, Garrett. Like
Uh, what we need to do is put ET versus Ray and then Auden versus Robbie.
that
Let's just
actually
swap
sounds
them.
more fair.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
No,
All
I
right. So
think Ray.
next guy was
I think Ray absolutely would murder ET.
I do think so
Yeah,
too, because Ray's gonna go inside as well. But that would be a good match because no one's pinning each other right off the bat.
that's true. It'd be a long,
Good
yeah,
match.
a longer, yeah, a lot of
Yep.
sweat, a lot of, yeah.
Nah. Because Robbie, man, he just beat Froda Hoglin. I say just beat him, but that was
6 months.
who knows what it was quite a while ago because
Yeah.
Arm Wars takes a while to come out and stuff, but that's a tough guy to beat, so that was good for him. All right, let's do Bacho versus Brino.
I give that to Bacho.
You're doing Bacho?
Yeah, I think Reno is a phenomenal arm wrestler. I think that his matches for me, like his best matches were when he pulled Jablonski, when he pulled
Yeah.
Jamil. Like I think the kid has a lot of power. You
Yeah.
have one video to base all of Bacho on besides some weird backyard practices that he's allowed to be posted. And
Yeah.
his brother is even nastier than Bacho is in the speed and power. I don't know anything about this kid, but the way he handled Warzinski, uh, I'm going to put it on Bacho. I think that he's got too many unseen variables and you don't know him. And that's a threat to
True.
Reno.
Okay, we're going separate on that one too. I'm picking Reno.
Reno, okay.
Yeah. What I'm seeing out of Reno is his press, I think, is going to be Bacho's nightmare.
You think so?
If it was a side pressure fight, they both go outside. I think Bacho's too much for him, but Reno is going to be taller, coming down, crashing, and just the efficiency that he has, the way he pops and he's dragging at the same time, man. That's a
I'll say
hard
this.
one.
If they let Reno set up like they let Camille set up on Cody, I absolutely would give it to Reno. Meaning Reno or Camille set up. I mean, his arm was like here.
Yeah, he had it already crossed. He was already
And all he had to
in
do is
that
just lay over.
just down. That's all
Yeah.
it was.
So
Yeah.
if they let Reno set up like that, instead of just a squared shoulder where he has to be in line. So if Reno or if Bacho sets up and they make him square off, I think Bacho 100%. I do agree with you 100%. I do.
And Reno does it from square shoulders, man. He's very good at that. He look at him. He competes in worlds and he
Yeah.
still presses.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't gonna let him cheat anything.
Yeah.
Which is so bad that Camille is able to get away with that. That bugs me. It does, because that is such an advantage to be able to do that.
They deal with the hand fight. Like if you didn't have so much attention being paid to the hand,
Yeah.
you would correct the body.
Yep.
These guys have made it such a big deal about a hand fight. Like that's why I like Easy Money so much. Like he is
Bullshit in there. He'll straighten him out.
yeah, like he's my Easy Money is my favorite arm wrestler because he's like, put your hand down, put your elbow down, get a grip, let's riff. It's not no climb up and do all this extra. Like I'm gonna start pushing here.
Nothing fancy, man. He just wants to get that power to the ground.
So, but it distracts. Yep, it distracts the refs. Then lose focus, and I think it's deliberate. It's like, all right, let me get my shoulder over all the way here. You worry about what I'm doing here, but you're not telling me to move my shoulder back. Like, let me keep. So it's wild how many intricacies there are in this sport in that regard. Like you think it's just your hands getting together and that's it.
Yeah, no, it's a full body sport, man. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, but it's a full body sport.
We have two.
All right, so we got
Bacho.
two. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, those are the only two so far, huh? And then I'm going with Mask.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so now we got Vitali and Chafee. That's the last one because the Michael Todd match got canceled.
It got canceled, but he just pulled Derbenyev. Did you hear who won that?
I watched it. I did watch that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
Good job, Pablo, man. He lost, but good job. Dude, like everyone's saying, so when I say everybody, but anybody who's pulled with Michael Todd is saying he's back. He's strong, might be stronger. He has more versatility. He's back.
Yeah.
And Pablo went in there and was putting stops on him, man, and made Michael fight hard.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job, man. Good job. That's all I gotta say. Pablo, he's knocking at that doorstep of being that guy. He's right there. And at first when Michael, he's like, I got the number one guy in America. I feel so bad, but I wasn't even thinking of Pablo, man. I was trying to think who could it be? Who was he bringing?
Yeah.
And I saw Pablo and I was like, there you go. That's a good guy. And he's been getting stronger. He's climbing. And I think he did amazing, man. Yep. Like that was great. I loved watching that. That was good.
I think they're picking on him, on Pablo. And Pablo is like the guy who's kind of the gatekeeper to the top, top 20. And I don't like that they're exploiting him in that regard. They need to give him a platform and let him run with it. But the only thing I didn't like about that match, the only thing, like, the arm wrestling was great, was Michael Todd telling the refs about his knuckle and about, like, so if you're gonna do something like that, this is to Michael Todd, get outside refs and don't do it
Yeah.
in the Monster Factory. Like you're saying, hey, I'm coming back. Be a super match at some tournament that's local, and then build that
Yeah.
tournament up by
Yeah,
your
going,
presence being.
do you actually, it was like this. Do you guys like your grip?
Yeah,
Okay, go.
right.
You know, and there was nothing like,
So
now,
that was
granted,
my
I'm
conflict.
not scared to say this.
Yeah,
But watching who was doing the ref and who was grabbing their hands,
yeah,
they did a practice when Michael was, coming back. And he was sitting there trying to straighten out Michael, and Michael flipped out on him,
yeah,
got very upset, and I think it scared him. So
yeah,
if you're going to go up there and be a ref, you can't be scared of that.
yep,
But now, side note, that wasn't a professional match. They
exactly.
did be ready, go, whatever. But if we are doing a Monster Factory deal, they're bringing in Luke Polcher as the head ref.
Yep.
He wouldn't let the minor things fly.
Yeah,
So
you
we
would be
do
on
know that part, but
standard
still,
grip.
dude, I
That's
noticed
how.
that was the only flaw you could say about it. But otherwise, man, good job, Pablo. Good job, Michael. Looks like you're back. Excited to see his match over there in
King
East
of the
versus
Table.
West.
I thought he was going to King.
No, he's doing East versus West. He canceled King of the Table, but I'd say more like postpone. They
Got it.
postponed. He will have that match, but right now with everything going on in his life, man, I think he just chose that it's just
Not yet.
mentally not a good spot for him right now. And so he's working through that, which is good. He actually, this isn't anything that's private. He posted it onto his YouTube, but
Yeah.
he was talking about everything. So that is open for anyone to check out. But yeah. All right. So last match we got Vitaly and Dave Chafee, man. Big money. That's your guy right there. Are you
I
still
want, dude.
sticking with
I
your
want easy
guns?
money. I want easy money to win, but Vitaly, the giant mid vision, like that big bear, he
Dude.
he's gained weight. He looks healthy. He looks
Perfect. Yep.
strong. Like, and he already has the strongest grip in arm wrestling world. The arm wrestling world. Like,
Besides me. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Besides Taylor Palmer, which they don't know about you yet. 64 man will happen, and you're going to win
Yeah.
from crushing hands on your grip. You're not going to win from pinning anybody. They're going to quit.
That's right.
They're going to
That's
win
all
some
I need to do.
and they're going to cry.
Yep.
No, but I want Dave to win, but I think that this is a revenge match for Vitaly, and Vitaly's going to do some damage. And Dave looks good. Like his
Does look good.
movements. Well, I'll say this. So he posted a video of him pulling with two guys. He had the band on, and then he was pulling through two hands. There was no tension on the band, so like it looked like this weird gimmick of I'm back, and so he's just kind of
Oh,
moving
okay.
through them or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I want that to be true. I know what it
Yeah.
looks and feels like for somebody to have bands on, and I'm pulling with bands, and just them either being overwhelming, too strong for me, or vice versa, where I'm too strong for them. You as well know that feeling. So when you see it in application, you're like, okay, stop showing me shit, like unless it's real. So I have to say this is going Vitaly's way. Like I don't think
Yeah.
I think Dave looks healthy, looks comfortable, but he
But how
doesn't
many
look like
times he
Vitaly.
said that and he's just saying it and he's still hurt?
Yeah.
So only Dave knows how well he's doing. If Dave was 100%, man, and didn't have that neck injury, I would say this is going to be another dogfight.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about what Vitaly's been doing. He quit his job.
Yep.
He completely quit. He is full time eating, sleeping, training. That's what he's been saying. That's all he does now. And shoot, I mean, he was number 2 at one point in the world. And when they got back, let's see, the last match they had, I mean, he'd only been back for a few months. And now we got full time Vitaly, man. I think it's going to be a smoke show, sadly.
Yeah.
But if it's not, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I hope Dave is back and he gives it a fight, which he will. He will. He always tries his
Well,
hardest.
they die. They'll die off each other.
Something.
Both of them. Absolutely. They'll
Oh,
fight hands.
yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I just mean they will fight until there is no fight.
Yeah. But
And
we do know Vitaly's still prone to a press, man. I mean,
yeah.
Hermes was smacking him with the press, so he's still down with the press.
Yeah. And so, well, I mean, but we'll see. If you take somebody who could just work on his bicep and pronator
Yep.
without restriction, without interruption, and yeah, he looks just Vitaly looks massive. He's never
He's
looked so
gained.
big.
Yeah, no, I think he's gained in US. I think it translates to like 30 pounds,
Yeah,
which is a lot. That's a lot
he was already
of healthy weight, dude. Like he's because he
350 to
looks.
begin with. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's a massive
jeez.
dude. So, and I say that, and I'm a
Yeah.
big guy, and I met Derek Smith, and Derek Smith is a massive dude. Like,
Yeah.
uh, no one.
Yeah.
Jumping back to the mask thing, I was thinking about it. Um, who who did mask he pulled? Who did he pull to get into the East versus West qualifier? And then he got smashed in the East versus West.
Oh man, why is that bugging me?
Yeah, like that's. I was just trying to think about it because we're like, oh, he's going to start off this year on a tear, but
Because Brandon Mulvahall he was one guy that was competing for it. I remember he was almost there. I'm trying to picture who was second for that match. Because I remember the weight class below that was Brad Grundy and then Jerome Loud, I believe is his last name, which that was a great match. But I can't remember who Matt Mask went against.
yeah, I
But he
can't.
lost one of them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, he had to make a comeback. Maybe he lost two. It's pretty good matchup. Wow. I'll look into that, but
It was just it popped in my head. I'm like, I don't why everybody's on that Matt Mask train. I like his energy. I think he's like
yeah.
crazy and wild and eccentric. He said to me, he does all the stuff that I want Devin to do.
Oh yeah.
Not in the setup.
Yeah.
After the fact, like
After the fact. Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They complement each other well. But oh man,
Sure.
that good interview.
That was good, man.
Hopefully.
Appreciate it.
Hold on, I'll do it this way. So I can go back and edit it.